All right, let's show you now a live look at the White House, where the President of the United States is set to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the next hour. The president says a plan to end the war in Gaza is in its, quote, final stages. But Netanyahu still needs to sign off on it. So for more on this, I want to bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams from our London newsroom. Holly, so final stages of a possible peace deal between Israel and Gaza. What are we expecting from today's meeting?
Well, hey there, Vlad. I guess first off, I think we can probably assume that Prime Minister Netanyahu will get a warmer welcome at the White House than he received at the UN General Assembly in New York last week, when dozens of delegates left the room in protest before he even gave his speech. We assume that the main discussion today will be around the administration's 21-point peace deal, which President Trump presented to Arab and Muslim leaders last week. Since then, the president's been sounding extremely optimistic about the prospect of finally achieving a deal to end the war in Gaza. On social media, he posted, and this is a direct quote, "We have a real chance for greatness in the Middle East, as well as we will get it done." Most of that in his trademark capital letters. Now, according to some reporting from the Washington Post, that proposed deal would involve freezing battle lines and the very quick release of all living hostages in the Gaza Strip, numbering around 20, as well as the bodies of those who have died there. According to that reporting, Hamas's weaponry would be destroyed and its members would be offered safe passage out of Gaza to other countries. Once again, that is reporting from the Washington Post. But despite the president's positivity, there is a great deal of skepticism, including inside Israel. Previous ceasefires in 2023 and earlier this year both collapsed. The far-right allies of Israel's prime minister have made it clear that they do not want to end the war. They say they want a decisive defeat of Hamas. And remember, Israel just launched a new ground offensive in Gaza City, where it says Hamas had regrouped. And on the other side of things in Israel, family members and supporters of the hostages say that the new offensive is putting their loved ones at risk instead of bringing them home.
Yeah, Holly, so the question, of course, is once this peace deal, if it is able to be achieved, happens, what do we expect the conditions on the ground in Gaza will look like for the people there? And I'm specifically talking about just women and children, people who have been facing hunger and other myriad issues because of this devastation.
Vlad, I've spent quite a lot of time in Gaza over the years, and things were pretty dire there even before this latest conflict. As of yesterday, the death toll in the Gaza Strip has now climbed to over 66,000, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. This morning, Israel again dropped leaflets from the sky warning remaining residents to leave Gaza City, where Israeli forces have been targeting apartment buildings. Those leaflets warn in Arabic that Israel's military is now surrounding the city from all sides. According to Israel, hundreds of thousands of people have already fled Gaza City because of this latest offensive. Many of those have already been forced to move several times. They've lost their loved ones in this war, and a UN-backed body confirmed last month that some in Gaza are also contending with famine.
All right, Holly Williams reporting from London, but as she just indicated, has reported for many, many years in the Middle East. Holly, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, for more on this, let's go to CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand, who's joining us from the White House. So, Natalie, what are you hearing from the president, from the White House, the administration ahead of today's meeting with Netanyahu?
Well, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, spoke to us a short time ago and confirmed that the president, the administration, has presented this 21-point plan to both sides. Holly was noting some of the details that have emerged from other reporting, but it would include an immediate ceasefire, release of all the hostages within 48 hours, according to the reporting out there, and also a post-war plan that includes governance in Gaza without Hamas. Now, the president, as Holly also mentioned, met with Arab leaders. The White House says that there have been indirect and direct conversations with Hamas as well. Here's more of what she had to say about these negotiations.
The president knows when you get to a good deal, both sides are going to leave a little bit unhappy. The president believes strongly in this plan, and he wants this to be the plan, and he wants this war to come to an end.
So this big bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu scheduled for next hour, but then also on the White House schedule, a 1 p.m. Joint news conference, which signals that there is an expectation Netanyahu will sign off on this deal, or at least faces a lot of pressure to do so, Vlad.
The president, as you know, Natalie, will also be meeting today with top congressional leaders as a government shutdown is looming. So the meeting was supposed to happen about a week ago. The president abruptly canceled it, said that the Democrats were being unserious and ridiculous. Meeting's back on today. I saw Chuck Schumer earlier this weekend suggesting that that if the president is coming to the meeting with the intent of actually working something out between the two sides, that they're looking forward to it. What are we hearing from the president about the meeting?
The question is whether there will, in fact, be any negotiations, because the White House and the president firm in their belief that the Democrats should just sign off on the continuing resolution or the stopgap measure that's already passed the House. And the president, speaking to CBS News' Bob Costa in a phone interview over the weekend, signaled that a shutdown is likely if Democrats don't back down from that position. And he also expressed that he believes Democrats in Congress would face the political price for not working with Republicans on spending cuts. And then there's also the question of these layoffs. We know last week federal agencies were directed to come up with plans for mass firings or reduction in force if a shutdown in fact happens. So really here, if one does happen, the president could use that to cut some of these government agencies even further, Vlad.
All right. Natalie Brand for us at the White House this morning. Natalie, all eyes on that meeting later today. Thank you very much.